Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to those here live in our auditorium. We appreciate you being here today. We're also filming this for our YouTube channel, so those of you who will see this online, welcome as well. This is our third of our 2026 New Mexico History and Heritage Lectures. This is generously sponsored by Century Bank Wealth Management. My name is Riley Stevens. I'm a member of the Friends of History Steering Committee. So today's topic is Amelia White, the most influential woman in Santa Fe. And this discussion today, this talk is brought to you by a Friends of History Steering Committee member, which is his main claim to fame, Harry Wertzman. He has done other things, however, in his life. He's graduated from Northwestern University with a BA in History and Political Science. He then earned a Master's of Literature from New College, Oxford, in early 17th century English, ecclesiastical, and social history. He pivoted then to a role, as many of us have done in our life, made a pivot. He pivoted to a role as a crisis communications executive, interesting, in Los Angeles before spending 30 years as an award-winning TV writer, producer in Hollywood, working on Star Trek, shows such as Star Trek, Grey's Anatomy, Ugly Betty, and Castle. He has been a Santa Fe resident since 2021, where he focuses on his passions, which are history, storytelling, and improving our community. So please join me in welcoming Harry Wertzman.
Thank you all for coming. The title of the lecture is The Most Influential in Santa Fe, ... that no one's ever heard of. So in the annals of Santa Fe history, there are a multitude of women, some well-known, some more obscure, who stand out for their significant contributions. Among them, women like Doña Inés, a Tana woman who gave birth to the first recorded child of mixed race, Sister Blandina Seagale, a member of the Sisters of Charity who traveled to Santa Fe in the 1870s and played a vital role in establishing New Mexico hospitals and the state's public schools. And you may have read about this recently. She was beatified by the Catholic Church. Now, she did gain some notoriety when she was dubbed the fastest nun in the West in a 1966 episode of Death Valley Days. Susan Shelby McGoffin, one of the few women who traveled the Santa Fe Trail, and as an 18-year-old newlywed kept a detailed diary of her trip from Missouri to New Mexico in 1846. And Lily Gonzalez, who in 1964 became the first female police officer in Santa Fe. But no Amelia White. So how did I discover the significant impact that she had on Santa Fe? It all started with the renowned landscape architect Frederick Law Olmsted and a small park here in Santa Fe along the old historic Santa Fe Trail. So 2022 marked the bicentenary of the birth of Frederick Law Olmsted, who was also one of the designers of Central Park in New York. The Garden Club of America tasked its member clubs to conceive and execute a project in their local communities that paid tribute to Olmsted and his visionary idea of parks for all people. The Santa Fe Garden Club chose the central courtyard of the historic Amelia White Park on the old Santa Fe Trail for their project. My film that we're about to take a look at traces the roots of this project from the mid-19th century to Olmsted's tremendous influence on people's thinking about public spaces to the early 20th century and Amelia White's important contributions. This project would not have been possible without the numerous and invaluable contributions of our civic partners throughout Santa Fe, including the Friends of History. Subsequent to finishing the film, we applied to the Archive of American Gardens at the Smithsonian Institute, and in 2024, the Amelia White Park and my film were accepted into the archive. So with that, thank you. With that, let's watch the film.
Frederick Law Olmsted is considered to be the father of landscape architecture. It was a mid-19th century visit to Birkenhead Park in Liverpool, England, a rare public park open to all people, that changed his life and design philosophy.
I was ready to admit that in democratic America, there was nothing to be thought of as comparable to this people's garden.
Olmsted's career took another dramatic turn in 1857 when Calvert Vaux, an English architect, asked Olmsted to join him in preparing an entry for the Central Park design competition. Together, they created the winning Greensward Plan, an unprecedented design that forever changed the landscape of Manhattan. By 1865, Olmsted turned full-time to the practice of landscape architecture. And as America grew more urban, Olmsted saw the need to restore people's connection to nature.
Parks are to provide city dwellers with a sense of enlarged freedom. They are the lungs of the city, offering spaces that foster physical and mental well-being, making them the most valuable of all possible forms of public places.
His revolutionary vision of a democratic public space where people from differing social classes could mix captured the imagination of city planners and spread across the country. 2022 marked the bicentenary of Olmsted's birth, and the Garden Club of America wanted a way to commemorate the occasion. So, what in Santa Fe, situated in the otherworldly northern New Mexico mountains, could possibly pay tribute to and fulfill Olmsted's vision of public spaces? Glad you asked. Amelia Elizabeth White was born in 1878 into a world of culture and privilege on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. It wasn't until 1913 that Amelia came to New Mexico for the first time to visit a Bryn Mawr classmate living on a ranch near Wagon Mound. On that trip, she declared New Mexico to be heavenly country.
Amelia Elizabeth White and her sister Martha, who came here to Santa Fe in the mid-1920s, are two of the most outstanding citizens this city has ever had. They have left their mark on everything that's good and enduring about this city, in my opinion.
10 years later, Amelia and her sister Martha took a road trip in an open Lincoln touring car that would change their lives. En route to California to view a solar eclipse, they stopped in Santa Fe to get their hair done, decided to stay, and bought some land, or so the story goes. 1923 Santa Fe was a very different city than what we see today. But the White sisters saw something in their new home.
It's not Desuke, alas, but towards Sunmount, the last adobe in that direction, with such heavenly views.
These heavenly views were found on the southeastern edge of town, along a dusty dirt road frequented by goat herders, called Garcia Street. They named their home El Delirio, the Madness, after a bar in Seville, Spain.
When we found El Delirio, we knew we were home.
The sisters transformed their property into an eclectic estate that served as a gathering place for artists, writers, intellectuals, anthropologists, and archaeologists during the 1920s and 30s. Amelia worked to promote a broader acceptance of Native American art and strove to demonstrate the contributions of the first Americans. She also became a community activist concerned with Native health, Native arts, and preserving Native lands and culture. Upon her death in 1972, Amelia left El Delirio to the School for Advanced Research as a legacy gift. But that wasn't all. Over the years, Amelia, once the largest landowner in Santa Fe, donated land for the construction of the Laboratory of Anthropology, the Wheelwright Museum of the American Indian, the Museum of Navajo Ceremonial Art, the Garcia Street Club, the Folk Art Museum, the Botanic Garden, and the Santa Fe Animal Shelter. All this brings us to the Amelia White Park.
The Flow 200 project originated with a program designed by the Garden Club of America that all of their member chapters were tasked with some kind of park project to honor Frederick Law Olmsted and the 200th anniversary of his birth. We picked this park because it had the formal park bones that originated with Olmsted. He designed Central Park, and it was in terrible shape and needed to become a public space again.
Our initial investment in this park is already reaping rewards. we're already finding that members of the community are responding most favorably to this park and to our investment in it. I think our involvement with Amelia White and knowing what a supporter she was of the Garden Club and the Garden Club of America probably was something that helped us to get to that point.
Well, no one is certain when the 3-acre area became a park. Architect John Gaumim's drawings from 1954 show the central courtyard and rose garden laid out much as it exists today. On June 16, 1966, Amelia deeded the park to the city of Santa Fe with the express conditions that the land be used solely as a public park and that the flowers and vegetation be cultivated and irrigated. In April 1995, the National Park Service granted Santa Fe National Historic Trail certification to just 3 sites: the Plaza, Fort Marcy, and the Amelia White Park. In the certification agreement, the city of Santa Fe committed to the sensitive management of these sites for public use and enjoyment.
Well, from the very beginning, we started with some of our civic partners that we feel have a common mission, that as the Garden Club, the master gardeners who do all kinds of great projects across the city, seed saving, they have classes, they are the experts in local plant material. We contacted Wendy Wilson, who was then the president of the Master Gardeners of Santa Fe.
I live just down the street from this park, and I just was really excited about her vision about what this park could be after so many years of neglect. We have a tremendous opportunity in Santa Fe to really bolster our ecological impact in such a great way.
Here in New Mexico, I think it's absolutely vital that we focus on native vegetation. You know, if you're using native plants, then you're also being respectful to the severe drought that we are in and the lack of water as a resource. City parks and green belts throughout Santa Fe and New Mexico with native vegetation is quite imperative.
Well, it really came from the Garden Club because they approached us. They were looking for a spot to invest some money and time into for Olmsted's 200th anniversary. And they contacted our city horticulturist with an interest in doing this. So our contributions were some irrigation repairs, I think some work with the club in selecting plants, getting them to the site.
Well, working with the landscaper to make sure that they had everything that they needed, getting them access, helping with the repairs of the irrigation, make sure the water was on and off and on and off, till we finally found all of the leaks, because there were a few leaks in that area that needed to be taken care of.
Caitlin Haas is with the Xerxes Society. The Xerxes Society has had a relationship with the Santa Fe Garden Club.
I am the Southwest Pollinator Conservation Specialist, and through that position, I do a lot of education and outreach with the community and was connected with the Santa Fe Garden Club through that. When planting for pollinators, there's one thing you really need to consider, and that's the diversity of pollinators that we have here in New Mexico. All of our native pollinators, the thousands to hundreds of species that we have in New Mexico, all evolved with our native plants in the area. So including those native plants is really key.
Bees are essential for cross-pollination, and they only have a limited distance, so Caitlin was very involved in pollinator islands across the city, and we tried to pick up on that thread and created a pollinator island here and encourage people to plant pollinator islands in their own homes. And the Audubon Society, again, Garden Club is filled with bird watchers, and the part of the design of the plant material here was bird habitat. They all kind of go together, the birds, the bees, the flowers. It's kind of a whole mini universe of things that benefit our climate and our gardens here, look, in Santa Fe.
I think we really need to build on these types of partnerships, enrich our parks so that they're all in really good shape, really maximize what they're doing. Part of it is really having superintendents that feel connected to a space and really, put the love and care into it. And the horticulture crew, really loves to do that. So I feel like it's been a great move to get you aligned with that park, because there's so many elements that kind of have gone by the wayside that need to be a little tender care will help bring that in there.
I think as we look at the various aspects of the park in time, we will see that there are many other areas that could be explored and enhanced and beautified, and would allow the community to have many more types of engagements.
The partnership that the city has with people who volunteer, like the Garden Club, that's what, again, is so remarkable about Santa Fe. The city government as an entity is really about that big. We have a great team, our parks team, our rec team, our public works team, but a city government that big can't do a project like this and other ones around our community without a volunteer group that's that big. And that's the secret sauce of Santa Fe. It's the volunteers, it's the Garden Club, it's the people whose booths are along the way here, tables that remind us that we are all in this together. My gratitude goes to you all. Thank you very, very much for a special day and a special place. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much from the bottom of our heart.
Most nonprofit organizations just can't survive without partnering with other organizations, whether they're governmental or they're other nonprofits. And I think what was important today to hear was the importance of volunteers and how important volunteers are to the city, but also to every nonprofit organization in this town.
It was just really inspiring to come here and see all the plants starting to bloom and smell all the roses and hear the bees and the birds and everything.
It's a wonderful representation of the Garden Club and bringing the community together to restore a historic piece of Santa Fe.
I used to walk and drive by here almost daily, and I said how sad it looked when it was going to be in disrepair. And now it's such magnificent change of
Well, so I came up to this park a couple months ago just to explore it, and it was completely empty. Like, there was nothing here. And driving up today and seeing all the flowers and all the people was just really, really cool to see, and really cool to see this project come together as I've been watching it the past couple months.
Beautiful park. I had to fight for a parking space this morning. We had so many people coming. Dog friendly, she loved it. And I hope it's a precedent for other parks here in Santa Fe for the Garden Club and everybody. This is such a wonderful green space. I hope it continues.
You know what absolutely thrilled me was the fact that the planting of the plants is absolutely amazing. The perennials, they're going to be absolutely beautiful next year or the year after that. And anyone who comes will get an idea of what Santa Fe gardens can really look like, that take little maintenance and have such beauty. And I want to compliment the Garden Club for making this an outstanding effort with the city. It just is amazing.
Finding this common goal between many different organizations is really key and brings a synergy to these projects.
Civic partnerships in Santa Fe and throughout New Mexico are a great way to continue the educational purposes, as well as collaborating with like-minded people and having this opportunity to restore and bring the Amelia White Park back to its natural state, and its grandeur is already been welcomed among, the neighbors and people throughout Santa Fe. As Santa Fe continues to grow, having beautiful outdoor spaces and city parks for people of all ages is going to become a very vital asset.
It allows us to bring in the pretty, the pollinators, the knowledge about native habitat, native plants. It's good for everybody.
We leave you with Olmsted's own words, written in 1858 upon winning the Central Park Design Competition.
The park throughout is a single work of art, and is such subject to the primary law of every work of art, namely that it shall be framed upon a single noble motive, to which the design of all its parts, in some more or less subtle way, shall be confluent and helpful.
Thank you. It was a labor of love working on the park and making this film. I think a couple things I want to point out. The work there has continued. Last year we redid the pergola, so that tragic lawsuit in the waiting. Pergola is now been fixed up, and we hope to continue to do more. And I heard a couple people almost gasp when they saw the Daughters of the American Revolution swing past. They donated a bee hotel there, and I was asking the question, well, why are the Daughters of the American Revolution doing this? And it turns out, as they told us, explained to us, that the King of Spain dispatched Spanish troops to fight in the American Revolution on the side of the Americans, obviously. And descendants of those troops are eligible to become members of Daughters of the American Revolution, which is why they're here in New Mexico. Didn't know that. So anyway, I hope that a little bit about, okay, one disclaimer. What you're about to hear is not exhaustive. There is so much more to Amelia White than I'm going to present to you today, but we only have a limited amount of time. And I'm going to try to not repeat too much of the information that you heard, but it doesn't hurt. So again, Amelia was born into a world of culture and privilege in New York. So her father, Horace White, after graduating from college, secured a position with the Chicago Evening Journal as their city editor. In 1858, he joined the staff of the Chicago Tribune, where his first important assignment was covering the Lincoln-Douglas debates. At the outbreak of the Civil War, he was sent to Washington as a war correspondent for the Tribune and formed a syndicate for the publication of Civil War news. From 1864 to 1874, he was editor-in-chief and owner of the Chicago Tribune, a position he eventually left due to exhaustion. Then in 1881, when a colleague with whom he'd previously gone into business on two separate highly successful railroad endeavors, bought the New York Evening Post and The Nation. White managed the enterprise and eventually became editor-in-chief in 1899 until he held the position until his retirement in 1903. So it was in New York at this period that Horace and his wife, Martha Hale Root, had their daughters Amelia, born in 1878, and Martha, born in 1881. Both girls were raised in their winter home in New York on 55th Street between Madison and Park. Horace sadly met his own demise in 1916 when he was struck by an automobile in New York City and died shortly afterward. So again, Amelia, as you heard in the film, she was barely 5 feet tall. And the woman who described her was her friend archaeologist Marjorie Lambert. You know, again, a tiny little thing. She weighed perhaps not 90 pounds, but had a brain like steel wool. And again, she did make her first trip here to visit a Bryn Mawr classmate in 1913. And again, she declared this. She visited Santa Fe to celebrate her 35th birthday. And that is when, after visiting here, she declared New Mexico to be heavenly country. In June 1916, Amelia went to Saint Valery, France, for a 2-year stint as a Red Cross volunteer in French and Belgian hospitals as World War I raged. Her sister Martha joined her in 1917, and the two of them served at Le Plan until 1918. Amelia was later decorated by the Queen of Belgium for her service, but continued to volunteer in a Paris hotel until the end of 1918. During the same time, Amelia's father passed away, and upon returning to America, Amelia and Martha each received just about $55,000. That's $1.68 million in today's money, in yearly income from Horace's estate that allowed them to set up their independent lifestyle and be financially secure for life. And again, Martha and Amelia thought that they were going to live out their lives in New York City and their lives there, but it was this motor journey. And literally, the story goes, there's no real verified evidence of this, but there's a lot of anecdotal evidence that they really did stop to get their hair done. It's a long trip from New York to Santa Fe, and they were going on to Mount Palomar, so they needed to get their hair done. So the story goes. And they were so captivated that they decided to reside here full time. So again, their new home was along this dusty track. Mostly herders were traversing it. In 1923, 660 Garcia Street, again, was on that southwest edge of town. When they bought the original acre and a half, the only thing that was an old house offering some shelter to some hay and a rusty hoe. Amelia and Martha were interested and decided to look into the possibility of acquiring adjoining land. The landlord of that adjoining land owned the remaining half of the old Armada Spanish land grant. And rather than sell off small portions of this, he preferred to sell the land as a whole. So this constituted hundreds of acres, much of it selling for as little as 40 cents per acre. The White sisters made the purchase, and their original acre and a half grew until it eventually reached from Camino del Monte Sol to the Las Vegas Highway and south to the Arroyo Camiso. Later, they would form the de Vargas land development, as the sisters had become for a time the largest landowners in Santa Fe. Over the next few years, the sisters transformed their property into an elaborate Santa Fe-style compound that was based on designs from architect William Penhallow Henderson and inspired by the Mission Church at Laguna Pueblo. The estate reflected this growing interest in Santa Fe style and included guest houses, dog kennels, stables, along with a swimming pool and tennis courts, which were both firsts in Santa Fe. And again, they called their home El Delirio, after the bar in Seville. And as Amelia explained, that they would often get lost while they were sightseeing in Seville. But when they found El Delirio, again, they knew they were home. So this eclectic estate would serve as a gathering place for artists, writers, musicians, intellectuals, anthropologists, and archaeologists during the 1920s and 30s. And Amelia would reside there until her death in 1972. Amelia soon became one of the most influential women in the state as Santa Fe developed from a sleepy trading post to the center of art and culture that it is today. To that end, land and its development were a major focus of Amelia's life's work. So in 1924, owning more than 250 acres on Santa Fe's east side, she formed the de Vargas Development Corporation for the purpose of acquiring and developing land, as she said, that would capture the character and flavor of the best of Santa Fe. Amelia and Martha became instrumental in the evolution of a Santa Fe style of architecture based on the principle that new housing and development could be built using traditional methods, materials, and designs and still serve the modern citizen. Endorsing the Spanish Pueblo style of architecture, the de Vargas Corporation attached covenants to the sales of all their properties, restricting building style and future conveyances. Part of the covenant read, "No building, except a private dwelling, shall be erected, and said dwelling house and necessary outbuilding shall be in the old Santa Fe or Pueblo Spanish style of architecture." Amelia meant it, because if you did not live up to this conveyance, she took her property back. So unbridled development and the destruction of historic landmarks concerned Amelia and Martha, and in 1926 they joined Mary Austin and other like-minded individuals to establish the Old Santa Fe Association, an organization that continues to play a major role in preserving the distinctive heritage that distinguishes the county and city of Santa Fe. Amelia and her sisters also became part of the city's very first formal chartered planning commission. One of the extant examples of their preservation work can be found at 125 East Palace today, Sena Plaza. It's an historic 33-room territorial-style hacienda built in the 1800s by the Sena family. Between 1925 and 1928, ownership of the plaza passed from the Sena family to Senator Bronson Cutting, Dr. Frank Mira, and the White sisters. They oversaw the restoration and renovation of the plaza. They added the north wing, second stories on the other wings, planted the courtyard garden, and installed the very first fountain. Eventually, Sena Plaza was purchased by SAR, an organization that strove to continue to maintain the complex's historical integrity, and in 1981, the Peters Corporation purchased Sena Plaza in order to continue the preservation of its historic integrity. One of the other things that Amelia, that we mentioned briefly in the film, was her activism. She became a community activist during this period and was concerned with Native American arts, preserving native lands, culture, and native health. It was her desire to demonstrate the contributions of America's first Americans to our culture. She worked to promote a broader acceptance of Native American art as art, not ethnography, believing that, quote, Indian art had a vitality not found in European art. In 1923, Martha and Amelia opened a successful gallery, the Ishau, later renamed the Gallery of American Indian Art on Madison Avenue in Manhattan, excuse me, pardon me, to exhibit and sell traditional Southwest Native American art to a broader audience. Amelia is historically celebrated for being one of the first people to promote Native American art as fine art. So building on the gallery's success, Amelia served as the executive committee chairman for the exhibition of Indian tribal arts in 1931, which was launched at New York City Grand Central Art Galleries to showcase Native American pieces nationally. Amelia also worked tirelessly to improve the lives of the residents of her adopted community. She was deeply concerned with the welfare of New Mexico's Native peoples. She fought to protect their lands, promote their health, and preserve their traditions. She also fought passionately on behalf of Native American peoples to resist U.S. government policies of forced assimilation. As a proponent of Native American health, she sponsored many surveys of health and welfare on the Pueblos. In 1924, she funded and conducted a pioneering survey of trachoma on the Navajo reservation. I had no idea what trachoma was either. It is a contagious bacterial eye infection that is the world's leading cause of infectious blindness. Left untreated, the repeated infections scar the inner eyelids, causing the eyelashes to turn inward and scrape the cornea, leading to permanent blindness. Yeah, pretty awful. This disease thrives in areas with poor sanitation, crowded living conditions, and limited access to clean water. It disproportionately affects marginalized and impoverished rural communities such as the Pueblos. Amelia's work helped expose the severe health disparities in Native American communities, and this in turn led to increased funding for public health nurses in the 1930s. So Amelia and Martha, that's kind of the serious stuff. Amelia and Martha were also well known for two other aspects of their lives here in Santa Fe: their dogs and their parties. So before moving to Santa Fe, the White sisters had seen a Westminster dog show and developed a love for the Irish Wolfhound. They vowed that if they ever owned a house with sufficient grounds, they would raise and showcase such dogs. I guess 250 acres on the east side is probably enough to raise a few dogs. So the White sisters' passion for their beloved Irish Wolfhounds and Afghan hounds led them to build internationally recognized kennels, the Rathmullen and Kandahar kennels, on the grounds of El Delirio. They would soon become influential figures in the American dog breeding and showing world. Sadly, in 1937, Martha, Amelia's beloved sister and helpmate, died of cancer. Grief-stricken, Amelia withdrew from society for several years, ultimately reemerging to make further significant contributions to a variety of institutions over the next 3 decades. In fact, in 1939, she donated the first local animal shelter to the city of Santa Fe in memory of her sister and the love of animals. By 1940, Amelia was back showing dogs again. During World War I, Amelia served as a nurse with both the Belgian and American forces in Europe. She was distressed to think that she could not serve this way again during the Second World War. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, and upon learning about the use of dogs in war, Amelia used her resources and reputation to support the war effort by helping launch Dogs for Defense, a national initiative to train canines for military service. Her kennels at El Delirio became the collection point for the entire Southwest during the early part of the conflict. In recognition of her critical role as regional director in the U.S. Army's Dogs for Defense program, Amelia received a citation from the U.S. Army's quartermaster for her contributions to the war effort. Today, on the grounds of SAR, we can still see the deep connection between Amelia and her dogs. There is a dog cemetery where each of the 48 graves features a wooden post traditionally painted turquoise and etched with the names of each of her beloved pets. So let's not forget that the White sisters knew how to throw a good party. El Delirio parties were legendary, often involving elaborate costumes, nights of song and dance, and on occasions, plays written especially for the evening's entertainment, like the infamous ceremonial sacrifice at the sacred pool. Guests included such luminaries as Agatha Christie and her archaeologist husband, Max Mallowan, William Penhallow, Alice Corbin Henderson, Ritter Bynum, John Sloan, Gustav Bauman, Randall Davy, Will Schuster, Jacques Cartier, Mary Cabot Wheelwright, and Sylvanus Morley. I'm sure there's many more on the guest list, but can't go into them all. In fact, in 1945, she even hosted a reception for Enrico Fermi and other scientists from Los Alamos who were working on the Manhattan Project. In 1927, Amelia also made the acquaintance of famed aviator Charles Lindbergh when he arrived in Santa Fe, landing on a dirt airstrip just south of what's now the intersection of St. Francis and Cerrillos, on a national barnstorming tour following his transatlantic flight in the spirit of St. Louis. Other than shameless self-promotion, Lindbergh was also traveling the country to promote aviation and encourage the building of regional airports. So Amelia was fascinated by the potential of airplanes and air travel and strongly supported Lindbergh's efforts. When Lindbergh returned in 1929, he took a series of aerial photographs of archaeological sites in the Southwest, and Amelia got him to include El Delirio in that. Amelia was also extremely fond of receiving guests on a more intimate in a more intimate setting. So late most afternoons at her estate, she would receive guests, offer them her favorite tipple, a martini, which was accompanied by soda crackers and served by her butler. So Amelia Elizabeth White was clearly a force of nature. Many of her contributions to our community still echo today. She was instrumental in founding the Laboratory of Anthropology, the Old Santa Fe Association, the Santa Fe Animal Shelter, the Santa Fe Indian Market, and Garcia Street Club, founded in 1945 as the first community center for Santa Fe's children, and is now the oldest preschool in Santa Fe. Upon her death, Amelia willed her lands and holdings to SAR as a legacy gift, and this included Sena Plaza. Throughout her life, she also donated land for the construction of the Laboratory of Anthropology, the Wheelwright Museum of the American Indian, the Museum of Navajo Ceremonial Art, the Folk Art Museum, the Santa Fe Botanical Garden, the Governor's Mansion, and Fort Marcy Park. This formidable woman left a legacy that is still felt to this day. Currently, her name does not grace any buildings in Santa Fe. There is one plaque at SAR that says Amelia White lived here, and a single roadside marker at the rest stop at La Bajada. It's part of the New Mexico Historic Women Marker Program, a rest stop. Yet almost nothing about her charitable work, her altruism, and her public-minded service is even mentioned. A single public park is the only location in Santa Fe that bears her name and was one of her final gifts to the city for the enjoyment of all people. Though it was originally called the Korean Conflict Memorial Park, it was only after Amelia's death that the city changed the name to the Amelia White Park. Her legacy also lives on in the heritage she helped preserve and the institution she had fostered throughout with her generous support. I'm going to close with this. There's another Santa Fe resident who's legendary filmmaker Godfrey Reggio, and it's been my privilege to get to know him. And during one of our conversations, he introduced me to the concept of future present. This idea encourages individuals to critically examine the interconnectedness of past, present, and future, and to recognize the profound impacts of our choices on the generations to come. As Godfrey says, the future is not some place that we're going, but someplace we are creating. Amelia White got that. She recognized the profound impact her choices could and would have on future generations. She brought us all here today. I hope that what you take away from today's lecture is my profound admiration and respect for a woman whose life's work in bettering her community through partnerships and personal involvement is a personal inspiration, and it's what truly made Amelia Elizabeth White the most influential woman in Santa Fe that no one knows about. Thank you for listening and supporting the Friends of History.
Thank you very much to Harry for that. That was fascinating. We have time for questions if you all have any. If you'll remain seated, if you have a question, raise your hand, and someone will bring you a microphone, and that's for the benefit of those that are going to be watching this online so we can record your question. So if you have questions for Harry, please raise your hand. Any questions at all?
And I'll do my best to give a good answer or make something up that sounds really good.
Up at the top there.
Thank you for an excellent lecture. My question relates to the other legend, the relationship between Amelia and the other legendary figure here at that time, which was Edgar Hewitt. I know she had close relationship with Kenneth Chapman and a number of the other archaeologists. The record seems kind of vague about Hewitt. Do you know what their relationship was?
So much of the research that I ended up doing, it's Santa Fe. Nobody keeps good records. It is pretty scattered around. Most of it was done at SAR, at their library, and in their archives. So there's not a lot that I know specifically about that, more along with the lines of you're suggesting, which is, kind of vague to that. I mean, I know that there was a lot of, I wouldn't say conflict, but disagreement and sort of testiness between a lot of the people in the various archaeological communities as people split into groups who were supporting one thing or another, a particular type of exploration versus another. Didn't really answer your question, did I? Yes.
What it sounds like is Amelia was really the one, and what did Martha do? Was she very engaged in things, or did she just along for the ride?
I think that Amelia did sort of lead the charge between of the two sisters. She was very supportive of that. She was a great help to Amelia in what she did, but it's my sense that she preferred to allow Amelia to go out and take on the world. Pardon me? Yes, and as she died in 1937, she had been sick for some time with cancer. Thanks. That was my wife who filled me in on something that I forgot. Anyone else? Oh, yes.
Just two more things.
Uh-huh.
It's interesting that Amelia Elizabeth joined the board of the School for Advanced, well, it wasn't advanced then, American Research just after Hewlett passed away. Until then, she was not involved.
Right, and that's part of the personality, dueling personalities
Definitely.
and conflict that came up. But yes, you're
Kind
correct.
of solid evidence.
Yes.
Anyway, I just don't know if any of you here are aware, but SAR offers tours of the beautiful estate and Amelia Elizabeth's home and the outbuildings, and go review the history of that on Wednesdays and Fridays at 10 a.m.
Yes, well, thank you for doing that. Yes. Because we're recording, they just need to get you on the mic.
Since she was a nurse in Belgium in 1918, during the time of the Spanish influenza, did she continue nursing here? And was Santa Fe at all affected by the Spanish influenza?
I'm not sure about the Spanish influenza affecting Santa Fe, but Amelia was not affected by that during her service in World War I. I mean, I saw no evidence of it, so.
Because it was devastating elsewhere.
Absolutely. I'm sure it was one of the things that they had to contend with, but there's no record of that. Amelia there's no extant diaries that I'm aware of from her. You know, a lot of this is through correspondence and things like that I get much of an insight into her personal life.
I just wanted to say thank you very much for the film, and I really enjoyed the guitar playing at the beginning, and when they were showing the men working, and it was great music throughout for that film. Thank you very much.
And if you want to know, the music is one of my favorite artists, Bruce Coburn, singer-songwriter. This is an acoustic album he put out right around the time we were making the film. So.
The tours that SAR gives of the El Delirio of the entire campus are great. And one of the things that's emphasized is that Amelia Elizabeth always wanted to be called Amelia Elizabeth rather than just Amelia White. Do you know why?
I actually do not. I cut off I called her Amelia throughout this just for sake of moving it along. Thank you. Anyone else? Everyone's like, nope, time to go.
I just want to give a bid to the collection tours that we do at SAR.
Yes.
I'm a docent there, so it's great if you can do both. You can even do them on the same day.
Right, and thank you again, Amelia Elizabeth, for that. Thank you very much.